Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy State Secretary.
For his opening speech. And now our first program, let's kick off with a roundtable, a V4 roundtable with 4 prominent experts of the field. So let's meet them, who will join me to share their vision and share their opinion about the state of esports in the V4 countries. I would like to call to stage Mr. Lukáš Pleškot, President of the Czech Esport Association. Hi, please take a seat. Mr. Karol Cagan, who is the President of the Slovakian Esport Association. Rafał Tribus, who is the International Relations Coordinator for the Polish Esports Association. And Mr. Balázs Kis, who is the Vice President of the Hungarian Esports Federation. Gentlemen, how was your trip? Having a good time so far?
Yes.
Please give volume to the microphones. Let's try again.
It's okay for me. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. This one works.
You've been to Hungary before?
Yes.
Okay.
Many times.
Many times. So before we go into further details about the situation of esports in the V4 countries, let's go through each of your countries and give us a rundown. What is the status quo? What is the status of esports as a culture, as the number of players, about how teams are viewed and how they are managed in your countries? We can go in clockwise order.
Okay. In Czech Republic, we have maybe very similar or common market with the Slovakia Republic. Sometimes we share numbers together because our competitions are across the boards. But basically, we usually say that in our country there are 300,000 esport enthusiasts. And maybe more 1 million people. 1 million people which are familiar with the esport, basically. Yeah. And of course, we have to realize our size of our local market, because usually we can read from the world impressive numbers, especially from the Asian or American market, how many viewers, how many watched hours are in this from this event, and so on. And we have to realize size of our local market and to present correct numbers and present or try to attract our potential partners with real numbers and real expectations.
Okay, so the numbers Lukáš already told, but to get the feeling of it, yes, esports was for a long time kind of a niche and enthusiast environment in our countries. But recently, in the past couple of years, it started growing rapidly, and now we're coming to challenges of having an enthusiast, a lot of young people that like to play just for the sake of playing, and taking the market and converting it into a professional one. So it's a very exciting time, yet a very challenging one. So we need to build the structure around the esports. We have people playing, a lot of them, it's growing rapidly, but the challenge is to kind of catch it and support the people so that it develops in a certain structure.
You said that in the last couple of years there has been a change. Was it an internal one or an external one? So like kids saw what happens in the States or in the UK and started playing more seriously, and that's how the revolution began, and you organized it, or it was an internal pressure to, okay, let's catch up with the latest trends?
I would say that after the financial crisis, the industry started going a bit up. A lot of new people, smart people came into the industry and start building the ecosystem. Yeah, the demand was there and is there. The thing is that we need to rise up to meet the demand for the esports in country.
And of course, influencers, the boom around the influencers, it helps our ecosystem, all industry, and platform like a Twitch and so on. It helps us.
How do you see what happened in Poland and what's going on at the moment in the esports scene?
Yeah, hi everyone. Great to be here. Thanks for having us. When it comes to Poland, I think it's getting pretty huge lately. You can actually see the numbers growing year by year in a very rapid way. There are some estimations that we have like 5 million casual players in Poland, while like hardcore esports fans there may be like 500,000 of them. So the numbers are pretty impressive. When it comes to the ecosystem and how it looks and how it is developed, we have a pretty nicely developed grassroots scene. So we have a lot of students, a lot of amateurs playing, not only like competitively but also in the leagues that we organize, which is competitions for high schools, competitions for universities, in order to enable young people to kind of meet their dream of living the esports life. The atmosphere for esports in Poland is really good, mainly because the government and the politics are kind of see it grow. The best example is our president, Mr. Andrzej Duda, earlier this year kind of inaugurated and brought to life the national esports team, which is kind of huge and I think unique in the world scale, when like the head of the country kind of himself presents an esports opportunity to the community by himself. The thing is, we kind of in August this year we kind of took the leadership of this project, so we are actually pretty glad to be able to cooperate with our administration officers in Poland. So yeah, so the administration is pretty good. We have a lot of gamers, a lot of influencers, a lot of great private companies like ESL, like Fantasy Expo, like Polsat, who get involved, a lot of sponsors, endemic and non-endemic. So I would say this is a great year and a great time to develop esports in Poland, yeah.
Thank you. Balázs, what's happening in Hungary?
The Hungarian esports landscape has changed a lot recently in the years in a positive way. Let's say the HUNES was born, the Hungarian National Championship was born. We are working with these fantastic guys. In the past months, more brands, endemic and non-endemic brands, jumping into the esports space, or most famous teams started step on the way of professionalization. That means we have player contracts, salaries, professional background, coaches, team manager, and so on and so on. We have the second iteration of the Mini Future Sports Festival. So we are definitely heading towards, but we need to create a good cooperation in the Visegrad Four countries and make a coalition maybe and strengthen our.
We will talk about cooperation, but before we go there, you mentioned that there's a Polish national team. What about national leagues run by the national federation in each of your countries? Do you have one? If yes, when did it start, and what are the first experiences about them?
Okay, in Czech Republic, the association don't organize any tournament now. But of course, I'm a representative of private agency, the biggest agency, esport agency in the Czech Republic, and we organize national championship. It's a 1 year long-term project with quite interesting online reach and very famous final match. This event is part of a huge live festival with more than 50,000 visitors on site. And we are thinking about association and what kind of task should be or what kind of role should be in this concept. Yeah, it is good to organize this project, or it should be in a private structure, or if we are just something like a supervisor of and set up the rules on the market and so on. Yeah. We are quite a young organization. It's everything is at the beginning. I appreciate this work, this job from guys from Hungary, because we are at the beginning with this discussion with our government and our Olympic Committee representatives, and how is it? The opinion in the society in our country, especially in the older people, is that it's a waste of time sitting in front of the computer, and because of us, the children sitting in front of the computer don't go outside and so on. I mean, we have to work with this prejudice, try to explain that is happening, and try to work with it, not to beat against it.
Yes, I believe that it's a common task for each of the countries. On the one hand, defend the importance of esports gaming in non-playing communities, and at the same time develop them for those who are already playing. What is the situation in Slovakia?
Well, in Slovakia, we as well don't have a national championship right now. We have a lot of events organized by mostly private companies. I am really proud to say that almost all of the private companies that have a legal entity and organize tournaments are members of the Slovak Esports Association. So we see ourselves more of a mold to join everybody working in the esports industry and give it a form of a unity. So this is something that we are working really hard to achieve. We also have a very great support from the Slovak Olympic and Sports Committee, which helped us with the certain legal matters, and we're talking with them about further cooperations and the further events. Because I just want to reflect briefly to what you said about the people being for or against esports. I think this is actually the greatest misconception in the world of sports, that esports stand against sports. That's not true, right? The truth is that we have a huge amount of young people that spend their free time sitting in front of the computer screens and give a significant weight to our activities, right? So this is a huge potential that we can come in and we can help bring those people to, let's say, traditional sports and other things, influence their lifestyle and help them develop maybe their esports talents, maybe their other talents, right? So I believe this is the thing we should be talking about, and that's the same case with the Slovak Olympic Committee. They see the value in esports is in bringing young people to sports, bringing young people to the Olympics, helping people to get more interested in sport and stuff, you know, introducing the people to better lifestyle maybe, because esports fans are going to play, yeah? So it's just a matter of if we can help them to play better.
You mentioned that the Polish government has a strong support for esports. Does that mean that you also have a national league?
Actually, no. For now in Poland, there's no way to have an official national league, so like the Polish championship. In order for that to happen, the Ministry of Sports would have to kind of agree on that, while there's no way to do it because the Ministry of Sports cannot kind of accept, let's say, our association as the official Polish association yet. In order for that to happen, according to the Polish law, the International Olympic Committee, so the IOC, would have to accept esports as a, let's say, a proper sport. So unless the law changes, this is like the key thing in order to become the national championship. There is, however, a huge private market in Poland. So we have like, I think 3 or 4 private companies having like the, let's say, Polish championship in the name of the competition. And it's developed really well. Like we are really proud to have such companies in Poland and such a high level of professional teams. Luckily, we'll see 2 of them playing tomorrow at the Han Expo. When it comes to us, we do, however, have let's say kind of a national championship, but a collegiate one. So we focus on students. Actually, we have a league in League of Legends and Counter-Strike. It is based on the teams that are officially representing over 20 universities across Poland. So the official representations compete throughout the academic year. And then at the end of the year, there's like a, let's say, offline LAN finals. When it comes to League of Legends, we call it official because it is made in cooperation with Riot. We have our champion goes to the European Esports Masters, University Esports Masters, which then progresses to the World Championship supported by Riot, so the producer of the game. So I would say, yeah, we don't have an official, because there cannot be an official Polish Esports Championship yet, but when it comes to collegiate esports, it is growing really well, and when it comes to, I think it's a matter of time, but once we are allowed to organize such a thing with the help of our like very nicely developed pro companies, like private companies, I think that will happen like in 1, 2, or 3 years to come. Yeah.
Hungary has its own national league, and Balázs will talk about it in a separate presentation, Bíró Balázs. So
Yep.
I would rather go in a different direction now.
Okay.
As we see, even though we are the V4 countries and we are close together and we pretty much take the same historic route, there are differences in government backup, in number of people playing, on having national teams. How do you see, and this is my main question for you, Balázs, the cooperation, the regional cooperation possibilities? Because as I see from your stories, we all have stuff to learn from each other because each country has its own strengths and weaknesses.
Yes. I think it's really important to start a cooperation in Central Europe between the esports federations and to create a framework and a structure that will be very good entry points for the other countries who would like to join to the European Esports Federation. The other important thing is, I think we need to found and organize a regional esports championship with the V4 countries. It would be an esports league with joint rules decided by the V4 federations, and the finals or the events will be hosted annually in different hosting countries. So, in short, we need to work closely together and synchronize our future plans and steps to move forward.
It's a good idea for us because we try to manage for our local winner some kind of slot in the international structures or international tournaments, because it's some kind of benefit for our teams, of course. And I believe that together we can create great event for our countries and to bring new opportunities for our players, our teams. Good idea.
What I see in Hungary is that a lot of traditional sports clubs with more than 100 years of history, football clubs, create their own e-sport department. Is that happening to you? Because you mentioned that the private sector is pretty strong. That makes me think that maybe it's not the way you go. Are there professional teams connected to traditional sports teams, or are they going their own way, for example, in Slovakia?
In Slovakia, we have AS Trenčín, one of the widest sports clubs, and they have an esports session. I believe in Czech Republic is Sparta Praha as well. So we are experiencing a new wave. As I told you, there was a lot of enthusiasm, and as the structures start to emerge, the established companies, either non-endemic partners or sport clubs, start to see the potential and starts to dive into the world of esports. So I believe this is one of the biggest things we as associations can do for the esports industry, is to reach out to other partners that are not endemic in the market and bring them to esports and guide them. And this way we can, help the entire region to benefit. About the V4 cooperation, well, I do believe that in history we can find many examples of the Visegrad group achieving some pretty impressive results by sticking together. You see, for us most, but all of us in the European scale are pretty much not as big countries. Maybe Poland is an exception, but still I believe that if we do stick together and do cooperate, we can do a lot of things together, and it's always easier to have 4 countries that have a common history and a very, very common and very lively political platform to do something and to emerge with the cooperation. And if we do so, maybe this cooperation can serve as a role model for other nations, for other federations as well.
When it comes to Poland, we have some of the most prominent sports clubs, like Legia Warsaw, like Lech Poznań, that actually have their esports sections. It is mainly FIFA and League of Legends, sometimes Counter-Strike also. Actually, when it comes to FIFA, we have the official, let's say, top division FIFA League, officially supported by FIFA, the organization. So yeah, it's not only the private sector, but also sports clubs that see mainly the marketing potential in it. Because let's say there's a club from Gliwice, which is a city in the south of Poland. There's possibly no way for them to play versus Barcelona, like FC Barcelona, right? In like the normal football competition. But last month or two, they just played like a ranked match in, let's say, Rocket League, so one of the esports titles. So yeah, I think the clubs see the marketing possibilities in it. And when it comes to V4 cooperation that we are setting here today, I think it's also important to mention that it's not only about the competitive side of it. I think it's also a great thing to exchange know-how, to share common experience within not only esports but also game development, but also creative sectors. I think it is very good for the economic side of things because at least in Poland, the game dev sector is growing pretty strong. We have like some of the top European and global companies that kind of create this ecosystem. So I think it is very important to emphasize that our cooperation can not only benefit in terms of rivalization, but also like exchanging knowledge, like sharing education and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity on so many levels, and we're really looking forward to see how it develops.
Yep, sharing knowledge is very important. Not just sharing knowledge with the teams or managers, but we should learn from each other. And what I mean, we need to joint efforts, like we should connect our clubs like MTK to Praha and make connections that they can learn from each other.
And there were some very early adopters in Hungary in a sports club region, let's say MTK, our home base. Do you see that more and more clubs are trying to join, or they were the first pioneers and now it's slowing down in that segment? What is your opinion about that? Will more traditional sports clubs join the esports movement, or these will be the first one and remain one?
No, I think there is a lot more clubs to join, and if we are talking not only just football, let's say this was basketball, at the V4 Future Festival there is Alba Regia, and they are dealing with NBA, and I think the next wave of clubs, traditional esports clubs, will be not just football clubs, but for the different. It's like NBA, hockey clubs, and so on and so on.
You've come a long way, all countries in the Visegrad region, but I'm pretty sure that all of you have a higher mountain to climb. What is the biggest challenge in your country at the moment for the esport movement to take the next step?
Probably better engagement through the teams, through the organizations. It's I think, weakness of our ecosystem. because as organizers we are able to create quite interesting events to attract the partners. We are good at negotiation with the partners and gain money from them. But we don't have private money for supporting teams. There are no strict rules or contracts between the teams and players. The player can play 1 month in this team and the other month in the different team. And we need to create celebrity influencers from these gamers and to attract, to engage the community through this team. Yeah, that's the problem, that we don't have good, I can't say good, but not enough good content in our events, because there is no strong competition, rivalry, strong fan base in every team. Yeah, I think it's a problem of our country, and we have to work on it to gain money for the teams, for young players, and so on.
I have to agree with Lukáš on this one. The problem is that the teams, they don't have the necessary legal and financial backings. Yes, it's the organizers can somehow manage, but this is the biggest challenge, is to help even non-endemic partners to reach out to teams, you know, because without a strong working teams ecosystem, we will not have a healthy sports ecosystem in our country. So I believe it's necessary. And the second thing is, but I believe that's for the whole world, and that's legislation and regulation. Yes, the thing is, at least in our 2 countries, most players, they want to play, and they don't want to do anything else, the legal stuff, whatever. They're just not interested in this stuff because it is away from what they like and what they love to do. So I believe in my opinion, the roles of the associations should be to help support the legal structures, provide frameworks so players can do what they like and what they're best at, and that's playing, and take care, and the associations will take care of the fact that everything is fair play and has regulations. I also believe that the regulation spectrum is the most important thing for the V4 cooperation, and it's the base, absolute base, yes, because as you can see, many teams have players from different countries, and the ecosystem is mixing between the regions. So I believe that it is absolutely essential to have a common framework, a common regulatory framework in the V4, and that's why I'm really happy and I'm really grateful to be here, that we talk about the cooperation right from the start and not after something is developed. So yeah, that's congrats to our Hungarian friends for taking and creating this platform for cooperation.
Thank you.
I would say, yeah, of course, one of the biggest challenges is there are actually like 2 obvious ones, which is social awareness, but we're like slowly getting through it with some successes. And then there's like the administration acceptance, which is conferences like this. Like I believe the Minister of Innovation opened this ceremony in here. I think this is one of the prominent examples to how convince the government side and the politicians that esports is actually a legit ecosystem that should be developed in more and more professional way. I would also say in Poland, one of the biggest issues in the industry right now is the lack of specialists. So the industry is growing. There are a lot of there's a big demand for these specialists in marketing, in communication, in organization. Pretty much all of the fields that you can think of. Let's say comparing to sport, but there needs to happen. What we lack is some creative and experienced people that could develop the industry further, because I think we've reached the point of this being a let's say fans for fans kind of development, and now the thing that is clearly visible is that companies and organizations like ours need some specialists in their own professions. I think it's very important to develop such and to promote such approach within the youth, within the young people. For example, in our country, we have our own original educational system that kind of puts emphasis not only on playing but also like developing a wide range of skills that can help the young people actually get some jobs in the esports industry, not only as players but maybe as marketing specialists, as tournament organizers, or influencer managers and so on. So yeah, I think these are the main challenges.
Yeah. In Hungary, we have the same or the identical problems and challenges, so I really don't want to repeat the guys. I think the education is very important, Peter said, and there is one thing that it's very important too, when a brand tap into the esports community and try to reach this young demographic, they will need to understand how this demographic and how this esports community work, because it's not the same as in the traditional sports ways. So they need to understand how it works and need to consult professionals.
Thank you. One last quick question. What was the last game you played?
Clash Royale.
Total War series.
I see.
Counter-Strike, of course, yeah.
Gears of War 5.
Gears of War 5.
Yeah, Gears 5, yep.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Let's give a big round of applause for our experts from the Visegrad countries for giving us a look around at what's happening in Slovakia, the Czech Republic, Poland, and in Hungary. So thank you, guys, and let's continue with our program. I will switch to Hungarian now. Ahogy